Looks like this morning there will be further limits on public gatherings indoors to less than 100 people. Is New South Wales ready to enforce that?
Absolutely, Laura. We're working very closely, obviously, with the federal government. The premiers and the Prime Minister met, obviously, by call last night. We're having daily calls with our senior ministers in respect of enforcing any decisions that come from the national approach, where we need to do whatever we can to get through what is going to be an incredibly difficult time.
Is there a divergence of views around the table when you have these meetings, or is everyone on the same page about what needs to be done going forward?
Well, I think where we're all on the same page, Laura, is that the health of our people is paramount, and the decisions that we're making at a state level here will always be focused on making sure that our people are safe. Now, that will obviously have economic consequences, but our clear focus here in New South Wales is making sure the health and safety of our people is put first.
It makes sense that Anzac Day commemorations will have to be cancelled this year. That was confirmed by the Veterans Affairs Minister this morning. Will there be any way in which people can pay their respects?
Well, I think we'll obviously be looking at ways of doing that, obviously through televising such events. I think that's really important that we don't lose sight of our national pride, our national identity, and we work through this together. Governments have an important role to play in making sure that our people are safe, but at the same time that events, where possible, proceed, or people have access to them. That might be in a different way given the situation we're in. But as I said, first and foremost, we've got to make sure we make decisions to keep people safe.
Victoria and the ACT have declared states of emergencies. Is that required in New South Wales?
Well, in essence, we have the same situation in place. We've triggered a range of health measures, emergency health measures, which provide that support. We're taking advice from the emergency services, the health officials in terms of what's best practice and how and what's the best decisions the government can make. But look, every state has different legislation and different powers in place that they can enact.
Right, so under the New South Wales Constitution, just to clarify, you don't actually need to declare a state of emergency to enact these special powers. Is that what you're saying?
The advice I've received and the powers the Premier has enacted have occurred under the Health Act that ensure that those powers that we need to deploy are available to the Premier, the Health Minister and the Emergency Services Minister.
You've announced your own stimulus package that I mentioned at the outset. It's worth $2.3 billion. Will that need to be scaled up?
Look, Laura, this situation is evolving by the day, and we will do whatever it takes. From a financial position, we will put into the economy whatever we need to help our people, and that's the position we've taken. We've announced $2.3 billion, $700 million of that over the next 6 months will be invested into our healthcare system, doubling our intensive care unit capacities, bringing on more staff. As well as supporting small businesses. So we have waived payroll tax for small and medium businesses over the next quarter. I spoke to Alan Joyce yesterday in respect of the support that they might need, obviously for bigger corporations that have larger workforces, and we'll work through that in contact daily with all industries to see what support they need. As I said, this is an evolving situation. It will hurt our finances, but what's most important is that we help our economy in the long run and help our people get through this.
How grim is this? How grim is it at the moment? How many jobs do you anticipate will be lost in your state alone?
Well, it'll be tens of thousands, Laura. And what we want to do is make sure through this time we keep as many people in work as possible. That is going to be a significant challenge, but this will be temporary and we will get through it, and New South Wales will bounce back bigger than ever. But governments have access to certain levers. We will deploy everything that we can do, but at the same time, everybody can provide support. We need to work with the banks that they can support small businesses with lines of credit during this time. We need landlords to be working with their retailers to give them extra support. So we'll get through this together. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be challenging, but it will be temporary and we'll come out on the other side stronger.
The government is working on a second safety net package less than a week since they announced the first. How big does this need to be in your view? As big as the first or bigger?
Well, obviously the first package was focused on getting cash in the hands of families and helping small businesses. Our package was complementary to that, but we will continue to act on advice and making sure we get as much finance into the economy as possible. But this is, as I said, an evolving situation. Every day it's changing, and we need to make sure that we're acting fast, following advice and making sure that we're putting money in the right hands.
So does more need to be done on the consumption side or on the small business to medium business side?
Well, I think on both sides, Laura, but at the same time we're potentially facing businesses closing and shutting down. That's going to provide a challenge. From our perspective at a state level, we need to cut taxes, make sure those liabilities that businesses are facing are waived so that they can do everything in their capacity to keep people in work, and that's been a focus of our package. We will do more if we need to do more. We'll do whatever it takes here in New South Wales to keep our small businesses operating and to keep people in work. It's going to be a really tough time. It's going to be a challenge, but I do believe it will be temporary, and the measures that we make today, the investments at a federal and state level, and we're working together here to make sure they're targeted in the right space, will ensure that our businesses come through the other end stronger.